It's me, Renee. I'm back, and I have something on my back. What is it? It is my bathing suit. Because this, my dear friends, as you can already see from the title, August, sorry, November will be another round of hilarious readathon. Yes, doing it again, third time this year, but it's a great readathon, and it's like it's so chill. There's no points, there's no teams, nothing like that. It's just prompts. I love the, and you can double up as many times as you want. It goes for the whole of November. So yeah, been thinking about. I thought about doing it earlier in the fall, and then fall happened, and now here we are doing it in November. I mean, hilarious readathon. It's the only rule is that, well, the point of it is to read something funny, something that will make you laugh. People are different. Some people smile more when they read. Some people laugh a lot. And yeah, we all need some laugh in our lives. And I feel like November is gonna be a good time to do this because at least here in Norway in November it's very cold. It's dark. So it's nice to have some good books to enjoy to make us laugh. Because you gotta laugh, don't you? Yes, you have to laugh. So this round's prompts are, and yeah, this time I haven't made a fancy, mm, phantom bingo chart, which I did earlier with canvas. I didn't do it this time because you know what? I'm just gonna take it back. Yes, fancy canvas, real book bingos are fun, but I'm just gonna tell you the prompts and I'm gonna write them down here under the video, and then you can just write them down yourself. And yeah, but also in general, I would say for me, like kind of like in non-fiction November, where the rule is you read one non-fiction book, then participated. Here, if you read one funny book, you can say you participated. You don't have to follow these prompts. The idea is to read something funny. But if you want some prompts, I have them for you. Firstly, we have middle grade books. There's just so many funny middle grade books. There's gonna be no problem for you finding any middle grade books that are funny. No worries, really. And also, Alex and Paula are doing the Percy Jackson readathon, read along, where they're up to Sea of Monsters. So that would also work with that. Yeah, a little side notes. I decided that, well, side mostly like always, like feel like this time also. Yeah, as I said, you can double up on prompts, do one book for lots of prompts, but also if one book works for multiple readathons, as Sea of Monsters would, well, go ahead and do that. You don't have to pick a unique book. You can do one book for lots of stuff. So, yeah. I think it's going to be kind of easy to do, yeah, for lots of stuff here, I would say. But, yeah, let's get back to the prompts. So, yeah, first, middle grade book. Then we have one that's kind of different than otherwise people when people use this kind of prompts. But yeah, I said book from a series. So it can be the first book in a series, it could be the second, it could be last, it could be the penultimate. That's up to you. But yeah, just as it's part of a series. It can also be a part of a companion series, doesn't have to be a direct series, just a series somehow. And then we have nonfiction in honor of nonfiction November. I feel like I often do like nonfiction with hilarious readathon. And I feel like for me, it's kind of like, I feel like it's kind of point to, I feel like people often think that nonfiction equals dreary and boring and heavy. Well, a lot of the nonfiction I read is very funny. So you can have funny, but also nonfiction. You can mix those two. That is perfectly possible. So, yeah, a nonfiction read. And also, there are non-fiction middleweight books that are funny. So, yeah. Then we have a Norwegian book. Of course, it doesn't have to be in Norwegian, but it has to be by a Norwegian author. And yeah, we do have some Norwegian books that are translated that are funny. So yeah, there is that. I think I made a video of this earlier with recommendations. I have to take a look if I have did one with Norwegian books. I have to take a look. But yeah. Also, yeah, maybe I'll do some recommendations videos for some of these prompts. I have done them before, but maybe I'll do them again. I don't know. I can maybe I'll feel the urge to do that. I haven't decided yet. So yeah. Then we have drawn, which you might think, oh, what? What is drawn? Well, drawn, it can be a comic book, it could be a graphic novel, or it can be something in between. Also, give me a moment. Alright, how to find some examples. So you have weird things customers say in bookstores, which is like one classic, I would say. And it's kind of just quotes and anecdotes from from bookstores. And then there's illustrations here and there. So yeah, a book that's illustrated can be used for this prompt because draw, illustrations, same thing. And then we have the book lovers miscellany. Again, here we have. Am I thinking wrong? Oh yeah, I was thinking wrong. Sorry. But yeah, we have the Titanic Awards, which you have some graphs here and there. So yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I mean, lots of options with books that drawn. Can be a comic book, can be a graphic novel, books with illustrations, lots of options. So yeah. And then we have a body read. Always fun to body read. So body read, you body read. That's I mean, as long as books it's funny, which I suppose if you know, I suppose sometimes it's kind of hard to know if a book is funny or not if you haven't read it before. But like if it's a by an author that you know, you're probably sure you it will be funny. So yeah, a funny body read. And then we have a TBR veteran. In other words, a book that's been on your TBR for a while. I suppose again, what is a while? Well, I'm gonna leave that up to you because maybe someone's watching this and they've just been a book lover for a year. Maybe they started reading 6 months ago. I don't know how long you've been reading. And if you bought a book in January this year and you haven't read it yet, and you usually read books quickly, well, then that book is a TBR veteran. For me, I have some books that I got like, I want to say 16 years ago. So, yeah, I have some books that's gathering in dust on my shelf. And yeah. Also, if it's like a book that you wanted to read for many, many years, but you just bought it or you just got it from the library, that still counts. It's still TBR veteran, at least in my mind. And then we have a 2025, a 2025 book. This was kind of in accordance to because it's November, NetGalley November. People, a lot of people doing that where they read arcs that they get from NetGalley. I'm going to be doing that as well. Uh, but instead of saying reading an arc, because not everyone on BookTube get arcs. Not everyone works in a bookstore. Not everyone get out from publishers or are on NetGalley or Edelweiss or whatever. So instead of saying read an arc, a funny arc, I said read a book from this year. Because I mean, at least for me, there's a lot of times when I make a list of, oh, this book is coming out, it's coming out, seeing so cool, and then it comes out, it's published in March, and by November I haven't read it yet. It's like, why? Because procrastination, I don't know. So this is like a nudge to read books from this year. I do know, I feel like a lot of people do kind of read books often from this year. Myself, I read a mix of backlist and newer books, but yeah, this is a way to read books from this year. And then we have a biography, which, yeah, lots of biographies from whenever. It can be an autobiography or just biography. That's up to you. It can be a kid's biography. It could be adult biography. Up to you. There are some biographies that are comic book biographies. So yeah, lots of ways to do this. And then we have a funny one. A book from someone that's famous from not being an author. Like, think like, what? I mean, if you've written a book, then you're author. Yes, you are. But like, I feel like nowadays you have lots of people who are singers and authors. I mean, if they like, well, and you have lots of comedians who are also writing books. Maybe they're writing some essay collections. Like Lauren Graham has written lesser books. I would say she's still famous for mostly for doing acting, but she has 3 books out, so you could pick one of her books. I would say Stephen Fry, very famous for QI and his acting, but he also has a few books out. He also has a few narration out, which I suppose maybe will count as doing a book that is in English. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, just kind of maybe you could one way you could do this. You could Google your favorite celebrity that you don't think is an author or that you don't know is an author and see if they've written something. Or you could, yeah, I suppose look around. I mean, there are lots of options. As I said, Stephen Fry, Amy Poehler's written some books. I mean, maybe you could also combine biography and book by a book by someone who's not primarily an author. That's lots of ways to do this. So I myself been wanting to read Stephen Fry's books for years. Haven't done that, but thinking about that to do that this time. And you know what? I need to be silly again because I lost my silliness. So yeah, I'm gonna be silly the whole video. Then we have another good, nice prompt. Finish a book. So yeah, could be a book that you started enough this year, a book you started in October, book you started last October. Up to you. Just finish a book. If you have 1 page left, still you haven't finished it, finish it. Yeah. You know what? No, I'll lose my hat. Do like this. And then we have a funny title, which, yeah, lots of funny titles out there. And it's up to you what you think is funny. So, yeah, a book with a funny title. Sorry. Then we have a reread, which could be a reread, a book that you read earlier this year, could be a childhood favorite, completely up to you. Then we have, I don't know why I'm doing this, because I'm silly. Yeah, okay. Anywho, um, I'm just being very silly now. Lastly, we have an audiobook. Lots of funny audiobooks out there. I would say also there's lots of shorter audiobooks out there. So if you want something short, you can do an audiobook. And last but not least, I decided to go with neurodivergent book. So this could again be a non-fiction book. It could be a fiction book. If it's a fiction book, one of the characters has to have some neurodivergency. Could be ADHD, could be autism, could be yeah, just being somewhere on the spectrum. I would say could be my thing, which I have NLD, which I've talked about sometimes, not often. It is new, as I say, neural, non-verbal learning disorder. I have a video up on it because there's one book that came out 2 years ago now. Oh, sorry, actually 3 years ago. That's a non-fiction book about it. I actually don't think there's any. Sorry, non-fiction book. A fiction book about it. I don't actually think there's any fiction books. Sorry, non. That's a fiction book about a person with non-verbal learning disorder. I don't really think there's any fiction, non-fiction books out there about it specifically. So that's kind of sad. Though I'm saying this slightly like this because even though I have read the book and I made a video about the book, I don't actually recommend the book. I didn't feel like the book was all that. It was good, but it wasn't like amazing. People need to read it. But maybe you're curious, and yeah. So yeah, that is the hilarious readathon for November 2025. Are you in? If you do any TBRs with your funny books, tag me. If you need any recommendations for any of the prompts, ask me, and I can ask me in the comments, and I can give them to you. Or if you want a whole video about topic, like a recommendation topic, I could do that if you people are excited about that. So hope to see you do it, and I'm here for the laughs. I don't know what I'm doing now.